I was quite keen to watch a Storybots Christmas, partly because I love Christmas animations, but also because Storybots seem to be pretty popular and I love watching children's shows to see how educational they are. And while it's definitely educational, I have to say it is really uncomfortable to watch. Not because of the subject matter, but because of the animation style. We have two animation styles and some live action, and it's just such a disgusting mix. It's really ugly. And if they just stuck with one style, it might have been okay, or even two styles at a stretch. But to have three different styles just means that it's not a pleasant viewing experience. The message is great. I'll talk about that in a moment. And we do have somebody brilliant playing Santa Claus, and I'll get to that as well. But I didn't enjoy the animation at all. This was released in 2017. It's directed by Gill and Evan Spiridellis. And I will say that I have no idea if this is what the average Storybot film or episode is like, both in terms of the characters and the animation styles. I have no idea, but based purely on this one, I'm not in a rush to watch anymore. And I don't even think that's an issue with my age. Obviously, when I watch these kind of things, I have to analyse them from two perspectives. One, do I think they're good for the target audience? Two, did I personally enjoy them? And considering I watch a lot of animations, a lot of children's shows, it never ever stops me enjoying them. But this one I didn't care for because the animation is just so unpleasant, particularly the 2D animation style. And I'll talk about that in a moment. But the narrative, first of all, is about a Storybot character called Bo. And Bo begins to worry that the other characters didn't like the Christmas gifts that she's given them. So she decides to go to the North Pole to ask for some help from Santa Claus for how she can give better gifts. And when she gets there, there is a problem. She has to help resolve this problem. I won't go into too much detail about that, but I do think the story is well constructed. The narrative is well written. Everything flows really well. It got to the point immediately, and then we could follow Bo on this journey. And that works really well. The characters work really well. I think they're very well written. It is just the animation that I really don't like. I liked part of the animation. I didn't like the 2D style animation. I didn't hate it, but I preferred the 3D style. We get the 3D animation when Bo is at the North Pole. Whenever we cut back to the other characters, it's the 2D style. And I just don't understand why they needed to have both styles. And as I said, I don't know if this is typical of Storybots, but if it is, I feel like that's just horrible. I don't generally like anything where they mix animation styles. It's okay if it's occasional. For example, if a character has a dream sequence and that's animated in a different style to help separate the different parts of the narrative. But when it's like this and it's the same characters but being animated in different styles, I think it's really ugly and not a comfortable watch. And then you throw in the live action. Now, the live action was actually pretty good because we have Ed Asner as Santa Claus, which I really liked. But when you have two types of animation and live action over the course of 20-something minutes, there's just too much choppiness. It's not pleasant, it's not fluid, it's very jarring every time the style changes. And had they just stuck to one animation style and then some live action, that would have been really pleasant. I'm not sure about the thought process behind having multiple styles, because actually the more 3D animation style is really appealing, it's really beautiful. I really like that style, so it's such a shame that they decided to throw in some really unpleasant animation, and the actual 2D animation style itself isn't that nice anyway. Even if the entire thing was in that style, I wouldn't have found it appealing, but it certainly would have been less jarring if they just picked a style and stuck to it, because it's also very difficult, I think. I mean, I could be underestimating children here, but when you're seeing the same characters being animated in different styles, that could be quite confusing for a young viewer. They're not going to be able to instantly recognize that character that we see in the 3D style is the same as the character we're now seeing in 2D. Again, I could be underestimating children. Maybe they'll find it very easy, but I just think that it's completely unnecessary and potentially with some problematic outcomes. The message itself, it was really lovely. It's all about the gift of presence, as in being there, rather than the gift of giving physical items, which is always a really beautiful message. And obviously that's great for young children, but it's a message that I think anybody of any age can do well to remember. So a really nice message. The characters are really good. The narrative is really well done. Ed Asner as Santa Claus is brilliant. And I think the live action and animation looks really good. It looks good together on screen. But having the two animation styles just didn't work for me, and it meant it was a really unpleasant viewing experience. So nice story, okay characters, but not a good animation.